You have stared at the wreckage of your own missteps, as though each failure were a shameful exhibit you must conceal. You replay the moments you chose poorly, words uttered in haste, opportunities passed by fear, the silent compromises that eroded your conviction. You wrap yourself in regret's cold cloak and vow never to feel that sting again. But regret is a poor teacher. It punishes you rather than guides you. Today you will learn to treat each mistake as a patient mentor, each error a tutor whose lessons will shape you into your truest, most resilient self. You begin by closing your eyes and summoning the memory of your most recent stumble. You see yourself at the edge of a choice, the trembling promise to speak up and the safer impulse to remain quiet. You feel the knot in your throat as you backed away, leaving your truth unspoken. You sense the ache of disappointment in your chest, and you breathe into it without flinching. You whisper to your own reflection, "Teach me why I held back." In that question, the sting of regret shifts into an opening, a crack through which understanding can flow. You open your eyes and take a journal in hand. You write at the top of the page, "My mistake was," and you finish the sentence with unvarnished honesty. No excuses, no justifications, only the raw facts of what happened and how it made you feel. You trace the contours of your mistake with precise strokes. The precise moment you clammed up, the pounding of your pulse, the longing that burned just beneath the surface. You let the pen bleed your regret onto the page, turning the ache into ink you can study rather than bury. You pause and read your words aloud. You feel the tremor in your voice as you name your own fear. But in speaking it, you strip it of its mystery, turning it into a tangible insight. You note the lesson that surfaces, that your voice is your instrument and silence is its enemy. You underline that phrase, "Silence is the enemy," and you let it burn itself into your intention. You close the journal and step outside, carrying that underlined lesson with you like a seed. You walk to a tree in your garden, its roots tangled beneath the soil, its trunk scarred by seasons of storm and drought. You place your hand on its bark and whisper, "You survived every winter to bloom again." You draw strength from its resilience. You ask aloud, "How can I nurture my voice as you nurture your blooms?" You feel the breeze rustle through the branches, as though the tree replies with a lesson on patience and persistence. You return to your workspace and set a small ritual. Each morning, you will speak into a recorder one seed phrase drawn from yesterday's lessons. Today, speak my truth before doubt silences me. You will listen back to that phrase until its sound becomes a familiar melody in your mind, anchoring your resolve before the day's first challenge. You encounter your first opportunity that afternoon. A colleague misstates a fact in a meeting, and the urge to remain silent claws at your throat. You press record on your phone and repeat your seed phrase under your breath. Speak my truth before doubt silences me. You lean forward, lift your hand, and offer your correction with calm authority. You feel the resistance in the room, surprise, maybe judgment, but you hold fast. You watch as clarity settles into the conversation. You note the subtle shift. Your voice did not fracture, it reinforced. You carry your ritual into the evening. You return to your journal and write, "Today I spoke when I would have stayed silent." You trace the trajectory from seed phrase to spoken correction, mapping the pathway your mistake illuminated. You feel gratitude for the stumble that taught you to act. You repeat this practice with every misstep. When you overcommit to a project and find yourself overwhelmed, you journal the precise moment you said yes too quickly. You unearth the lesson, "I must respect my limits to honor my word." You craft a seed phrase, "My yes is my bond and I protect it wisely," and speak it into your recorder every dawn until the instinct to overpromise yields to the discipline of attentive boundaries. When you lash out in frustration, you trace the exact thread of thought that led to your sharp words. You uncover the lesson buried beneath the anger, that your impatience masks a desire for excellence. You write, "Rushed words betray my standards." You invent a seed phrase, "I pause to honor my aim for quality," and you recite it when you sense your words catching like flint. With each guided reflection, you transform your mistakes into mentors. You treat your failures not as verdicts on your character, but as tutors in the art of becoming. You forge a partnership with your own missteps. You err, you reflect, you extract wisdom, you apply it, and you build your life on the foundation of hard-won insight. Over time, you notice a shift in the landscape of your mind. The map of your errors, once a jagged scar tissue of regret, has become a constellation of guideposts. You see how each point you stumbled at now illuminates the next pathway forward. You trust the pattern of lights to lead you through uncharted territory. You carry this practice into your relationships. When you miscommunicate, you own it swiftly. "I realize I misspoke. Let me clarify." You reveal the tutor lurking in your mistake, your unfinished thought, and you invite others to witness your learning. You notice how your candor invites trust, turning errors into bridges rather than walls. You apply the same alchemy to your creative work. When a draft feels flat, you don't shred it in shame. You ask it what's missing. You discover the lesson. That vulnerability demands risk. You incorporate a new scene that exposes your own fear, and you watch the story resonate deeper. You honor the draft's failure as the mentor that urged you to dive into uncharted emotional territory. You learn not to wait for failure to teach you. You bring your mistakes forward, naming them before they arise, the old habit, the hidden bias, the wavering focus, and you neutralize them with conscious choice. You practice the art of preemptive reflection, turning potential missteps into guided experiments. You discover that when you treat mistakes as mentors, they cease to be betrayals. They become signposts on your trajectory, pointing you toward fuller expression of self. You close this day by closing your journal and placing your pen on the desk like a tool laid down after use. You take one final breath and whisper into the hush, "My mistakes are my teachers. I honor them." You feel the mantle of regret lift, replaced by the robe of curiosity. You step into tomorrow carrying a mind attuned to the subtle lectures of your errors, the lessons that will sculpt your becoming into something truer, wiser, more powerful than you ever could have planned.